Hello everyone and welcome back to Phantom Sports Industries. My name's Joe Soisson. I'm a contributor for Phantom's hockey content. Now we've still got plenty of time before the NHL season starts, but right now the buzz around the league is projections and predictions. Projections as to what lineups will look like for NHL rosters starting off the year, and where we think teams will finish by the end of the regular season. And taking into account those two things, I've come up with a list of 5 players that I believe have the most pressure on them to perform this season. So we're going to jump right into it. At number 5, the defenseman that I believe has the most pressure on him this year in the NHL is Zach Werenski. Now there's a lot of buzz around Columbus because of the season they had last year. And the question is, can the Blue Jackets elevate and make the playoffs this year? And a lot of that pressure is going to fall on Zach Werenski. He had an amazing season last year, but he really is the main reason why they were so close to playoff contention in the first place. He led Columbus in total points, tied a franchise record for the most assists in a season with 59, and he was second in the league in both goals and points among defensemen. Even on the international stage, he thrived. He finished the Four Nations face-off with the most points in the tournament. But when you look at the rest of Columbus's defensive lineup, there's a lot of uncertainty. Fabro had a career-high 26 points, but that was partially because he was paired with Werenski. Denton Mateychuk is only entering his second NHL season. Goodbranson only played in 16 games last year. Provorov and Severson have been worth roughly 30 points a year, but is that enough? When it comes down to it, Werenski is their best defenseman. And if he can't replicate what he did last year, Columbus is going to struggle to find the points that will get them into the postseason. Number 4 belongs to one of the larger free agent acquisitions this offseason, Chris Kreider. It was an underwhelming last year with the New York Rangers. Kreider has only scored 30 points or less 3 times in his career. His rookie season, when he was a fourth liner who played in 23 games, 2020, which was the shortened realignment season, and last year, when he had 22 goals and only 8 assists. Now he's going to an Anaheim team that's been rebuilding for years and is hungry for a playoff appearance. This makes Kreider their final piece of the puzzle, because while they have the cap space right now, they're going to have to re-sign players like Mason McTavish, who went from 4th to 3rd to 2nd in points on the team the last 3 years. Jackson Lacombe, who was their highest scoring defenseman last year. Leo Carlsson, Cutter Gauthier, and Pavel Mintyukov's rookie contracts expire at the end of the year. And Anaheim had 80 points this season, the most they've had in 6 years. They are ready for a playoff push. So the question is, can 34-year-old Chris Kreider get back to where he was before with a very different team and culture? Because if he can't, his contract is only a 2-year deal, and he is a large cap hit for the Ducks. They will not hesitate to look elsewhere if this does not work. But number 3 goes to the largest free agent acquisition this season, Mitch Marner. Look, when you go from one Stanley Cup competitor to another, it is all about playoff results. Because Mitch Marner has been fantastic in the regular season. In fact, last year was his best year with the Toronto Maple Leafs. A career-high 102 points. He even averaged a point per game in the postseason. But despite being in the playoffs every year of his career, Marner only has 2 playoff series wins. He'll do fine in Vegas. They've got skaters. Eichel, Stone, Hurdle, Barbashev, and Dorofeev, the stats will come to him. But this is about hoisting the cup. And both Vegas and Toronto won their divisions last year, but were eliminated in round 2 of the playoffs by the eventual conference champions. So there's not only pressure on Marner to get this Vegas squad deep into the postseason, but specifically to outperform the Toronto Maple Leafs postseason results. And number 2 on my list, Steven Stamkos. He's a future Hall of Famer, but he went from Tampa Bay, who was on the verge of a dynasty, to Nashville, a wild card contender with high potential. And Nashville, in the span of one offseason, went from a tough out in the first round of the playoffs to the 3rd worst record in the league. If you exclude the shortened season, Stamkos had his fewest goals since 2018 and his fewest assists since 2014. I know he's 35 years old, he'll turn 36 next season, but there's only 2 players being paid more than him per year on Nashville right now. Philip Forsberg and Roman Josi. Remember, it took a couple last-minute heroics for Vancouver to knock out Nashville in those playoffs. The Preds made these moves to give themselves a shot at the cup. You gotta be at least somewhere near the expectations this year, and it starts with Steven Stamkos. Last year was not good enough. And last but not least, at number 1, I put Stuart Skinner. There is always pressure on goaltenders. They are highlighted at the start of every game, right? Starting netminder is. But for Edmonton, the pressure is on for Stuart Skinner. Because as long as the Oilers have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, they'll be a playoff contender. And they've tried moving around different skaters. They've built up good forward depth. They've found defensemen they like. But for the past 3 years, their answer in net has been the hometown hero. And it's a contract year for Stuart Skinner, so let's look at his numbers. Over the past 3 years, among active goaltenders with at least 25 starts, he's 25th in goals against average and tied for 25th in save percentage. Last year, he was 37th in save percentage and 31st in goals against average. And according to StatMuse, in the 12 Stanley Cup Finals games he's played in, Skinner has an 88.8 save percentage and a goals against average of 3 on the dot. He's only 26, so there's still plenty of time for him to grow. But if you're Edmonton, you have to consider how large is your championship window. You've got a lot of players in their prime, and you have to pay McDavid next year. How long can you afford to wait for Skinner to develop into a top-tier goaltender? So there you have it. Those are my 5 players in the NHL entering next season with the most pressure on their shoulders. There's a couple other players that come to mind, but these were the 5, I think, most compelling storylines, and they'll be fascinating to watch as the season develops. But that's going to be it for me today. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like our content, be sure to scroll down below and click the like button on this video. While you're down there, be sure to hit the subscribe button to get notified of future uploads to this very channel. Also, be sure to check out our official website. That's phantomsportsindustries.com. Once again, my name has been Joe Soisson, and from the rest of Phantom Sports Industries, we hope to see more of you next time.